Welcome to Basketball Heads Live. I'm your host, Glenn Poole Harding, and tonight we have a very special guest. This basketball head is a McKinley Tech High School great. Yes, we are heading out to the DMV area for this one. If you don't know what the DMV is, that's DC, Maryland, and Virginia area, baby. Tonight's guest is here to help celebrate the life of New York City legend Dwayne Pearl Washington. Because according to him, playing against Pearl was the highlight of his career. This basketball head earned his name as Mr. Defense when he decided to attend Georgetown University, playing against another New York City legend, Stuart Granger, who he held scoreless when Georgetown played against Villanova. That was just the beginning because this basketball head locked down the whole Kentucky Wildcats backcourt in the NCAA tournament. According to Miami coach Bill Foster, no one has saw a guard shut down a top 5 backcourt. Do you believe that? Kentucky team with 3 NBA first rounders. They went 16 minutes into the second half and scored 10 points. Not 10, but 2 points. Incredible. This all happened because our next guest, the Hoyas, were one of the most fearsome defensive teams at the height of their powers. Yet, a little guard named Dwayne Pearl Washington could break them down anytime he wanted to. He paced the Orangemen with 29 points and 6 assists in their game. Syracuse led most of the way, but the Hoyas rallied to win the game in overtime, 82-71. And if those of you saw earlier, I posted some of his highlights. Well, the Hoyas would go on to win the Big East Championship and also the NCAA Championship that year. This basketball head inspired me as a youngster to want to play against the best players. That's right. I always told y'all I wanted to smoke, and it's because of our next guest. So, without further ado, help me welcome to the show McKinley Tech High School great and Georgetown University legend, Gene, Mr. Defense, Smith.
Y'all ready? Yes. You have just stepped out into the world of chaos, where everybody goes hard. Come on. Go hard. Go hard. Or go home. Never back down. You gotta hold your own. Go hard. East Coast, go hard. West Coast, go hard. Midwest, go hard. Dirty. Hurry up, everybody, get online, buy your tickets, cause the game about to start.
What's up, yo, Gene? Make sure you're on your phone, fam.
You, your show, New York City, Pearl, because my Hoya's coming on in like a half hour, 15 minutes. And I gotta do this right here. I'll catch the second half. They're only playing UMBC, but man, I am humbled.
I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.
This means a lot.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me get myself situated. Make sure everything is good.
That intro was sizzling, yo.
So I want to make sure I save it so we good.
We good. Yes, sir.
I appreciate you. Yo, Bezos, I appreciate you, brother. Because he was saying people were saying they can hear and see you, but on my side, you wasn't coming through.
All I know, you got 2 defensive dogs on the phone. So we weren't going to give up. If it was just
not at all.
If it was just you and me, we was going to do this.
That's right. I appreciate everybody for their patience, man.
Yes, sir.
See, you got your little one with you.
Yes, sir. I got Maceo, Dree Smith in the building. He was sleeping a minute ago. I thought I was going to be able to get through it, but nah. He want to be right here front and center.
Hey, listen, no better way to be but with Dad, man.
No doubt.
Salute to all the real fathers out there.
Yes, sir. Salute to the dads out there.
That's right. And I want to jump right into this, G, man. Who introduced you to the game?
Man, I got to go all the way back to Big Bro, my oldest brother. He took a leap of faith and went from like northwest to northeast in DC to go to a different high school than what was in our neighborhood.
Right.
And just like a little brother do, I just followed him over there. I had some cats that could really ball in junior high school and going all the way back to elementary school. And I'm talking about cats who wound up going D1. And I was always just, my brother had the basketball game. I just had the basketball heart. So just in terms of being intro to the game, it's a neighborhood. It's a neighborhood thing. So everybody hooped. We had females that was balling hard back then. So Diane Buck Bushrod, rest in peace. So yeah, I mean DC hotbed like New York City. As we get into this thing, the fact that I get to be on the New York City show, man, that means the world to me, man, because New York City's near and dear. Obviously, I'm a DC dude, and we always rival with New York. I mean, we
got a lot of respect. Yeah, listen, we got a lot of respect for the guys in the DMV area, and we hold you in such high regard, and because of your heart, right, your willingness to do the thing that other guys wasn't doing, and you kind of made the defensive thing kind of popular in the streets all around America, right? So I don't know if you know it, but you had a lot of influence in these neighborhoods in the inner cities with your prowess on defense, man. So I want to salute you because it definitely affected me, brother.
I appreciate it. I've had, I keep it mad humble with this ball stuff because you and I both know we got a community, and it's like when we get to do this is when we kind of get amped up. But New York showed me love, man. I lived in New York for 15 years, and it was pretty much after my ball days were over. But I don't know if you know Tony Hargraves. You know that name?
Yeah. A friend of mine and a friend of the show. Yeah, Tony Hargraves, yes.
I almost find this. He was my best man in my second wedding. That's a whole nother story. But he brought me into the New York City ball. Like he brought me in. I was on a couple teams, played at the Rucker against the Chicago team with McNasty, Speedy Williams, Steve Burt. Dorian Graham, Dirk Canada, D-Roll. I mean, these are all cats, man, that embraced me, man, and it really made me understand the connection between DC and New York is deeper, way deep than I think most people understand. But just on the defensive tip, man, I've had some cats just embrace me, that intro you gave me, man, was, like I said, it was sizzling. Like you get old. I'm 60 years old there. I kind of forgot. But that D thing was real, man. And being in Georgetown that had a history before I got there, and it's like it's not the name on the back, it's the name on the front.
Right.
We kind of embraced that ugly ball mentality. We had the big Jamaican in the back throwing everything out, and it's just like, man, Ed Pinckney gave us the biggest compliment. He said, man, you had Gene Smith at the front of the press, and you had Patrick Ewing at the back. Nothing.
Man. And even watching the game today, you didn't start, but once you got in there, Pearl felt your presence, fam. Like, I was just watching, and you was relentless. He wouldn't stop going, but you was up in this joint every time, man. So that made the game classic.
Pearl, I played 1 year against Pearl, his freshman year, 83-84, which happened to be our championship year. And I went back and did a little homework, too, looking at the stats. Pearl always had a decent game against us. Always got off 15 shots, but it was that Big East championship game when he turned me inside out. He dropped 26. The jumper was working. So, you know, if you got
The backboard, right? That backboard, that mid-range. Yes, yes.
So, I'm just talking, it was one of the classic performances. Glenn, I don't know if you watched that Big East game. You need to rewatch that game if you haven't. For whatever reason, at the end of the game, they had the ball to win it. And I came out the huddle. This dude will not see this ball at all. I'm not taking a chance of, you know how you let him get it in. And
Right.
I'm denying.
Bring the phone down a little bit. Bring the phone down a little bit so we can get everything. There you go. Right there.
I might have to hold it.
All right.
It was just one of those things where it is not going to see the ball. Right? Whoever's inbounding the ball, just know I'm putting a blanket on him. And for whatever reason, Pearl didn't get you remember Gene Waldron got the
No,
shot.
Towards the end, he kind of faded away. It was the other guy.
I was not letting him get that ball with that last shot. And all I can tell you, man, look, I had two guards on that team that were crazy defensive guards because they followed my lead. They weren't defensive minded when they got there, but it was like, we always prided in our second team being as good as our first team.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And we had a New York City legend, Fred Brown.
Yes. Salute Fred Brown. Yes. BX finest.
Him and I came in together, and I'm gonna be all over the place with you, man. When Fred and I came in together, and we took a trip to Vegas the summer before our freshman year, and we were on the plane because Big John was low key smart. He implemented, this was before AAU and all that. Big John gave us the Georgetown playbook. Because he got two freshman guards coming in. And Fred was top 50 in the country for sure. Right? I'm on the plane, Glenn, and I'm looking at the playbook and boom, boom, boom. Fred comes up I love telling this story. Fred comes up from the back. What's up, G? What's up, yo? What you doing, man? I said, man, I'm getting into this playbook. Fred looks at me straight face. You don't even need to worry about that, man. You ain't playing. I was like, see, this is D.C. and New York City.
Yeah. That's that New York swagger right there. Like, yo, you think you're going to take my spot? Don't worry about that.
Don't even worry about that playbook. You ain't gonna be. So when I tell you we had battles, man, that dude was my inspiration, was my heart. Because Fred was he was one of the smart, he was one of the first 6'5" point guards back then. And he was a cerebral cat. And we came in with 5 cats. Our freshman class was 5. Fred not the only 2 that made it all the way through.
Wow.
And the fact that we played in 2 national championships, and the fact that we got back there in '84, and my man was able. It was more important. It meant more to me that he got the ring than I got the ring, because he was deserving of it, yo. So I was captain my junior and senior year, and I tell people all the time, we had co-captains, because Fred had one side of the locker room and I had the other. Calm down, boy. Calm down. So yeah, man. Yeah, incredible run, man. Incredible run in Georgetown, man. Incredible. Yes,
listen, one of the things I picked up from you is denying guys the ball, right? When they didn't have the ball, to make sure they didn't get it. Now, when my coach gave me that assignment, he told me, when you holding someone and I want you to focus on him, don't worry about anybody else. So now you had to have your teammates help you for the blind side those picks.
Mm-hmm.
Because you were space guarding Pearl towards the end of the game.
Right?
So you had to trust your teammates. And you guys worked so well together. It was just phenomenal, man. So I want to go back. I want to go back a little bit. When did you start to take the game serious? At what age did you say, you know what? This is something I want to do?
To be real with it, because it was so important in the neighborhood, and you had the dope boys, you had the hustlers, and then you had the ballers, right? So you kind of had, and then you had just cats that were just nerds, right? And you had to kind of pick your lane. And having my oldest brother being so heavy in the ball, I just kind of followed that scenario. But I got to be honest with you, Glenn. I had 0 scholarship. I had 1 scholarship offer coming out of high school, and that was
So I see.
and that was Morgan State. So literally.
Well, hold on. Time out. I hope y'all kids, if you know, I know kids gonna watch this one day, and they're not gonna understand how does a guy who had only 1 scholarship offer end up at one of the best programs in America?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
How did that happen?
All I know, okay, so I'll digress. There was a high school all-star game, and I was honorable. I was honorable mention this, honorable mention that, but no all Met, no all DC or any of that. But somehow or another, I wound up playing in that high school game, all-star game, as an alternate. And you know me, I was probably diving in the bleachers, diving on the floor, whatever, trying to make an impact. And we had an All-American on our team, Billy Martin. We had 2 All-Americans, Billy Martin and the guy Jan Pennell, who wound up going to Oklahoma, University of Oklahoma.
So, and McKinley with you.
And McKinley with us. Yeah, look, Dunbar ran everything. It was Dunbar.
Yes.
Dunbar and DeMatha. So it's one of those scenarios where we were always right there. We were competitive, could never get over the hump. So 2 All-Americans. So I probably was getting looks, but Big John. And all I can tell you is when he asked me when I got the offer, again, I'm not used to that attention, but I do know I was captain in high school. I was captain in junior high school. So there's a trend there.
Natural born leader.
I'm not giving you buckets, but I'm giving you all the intangibles. So maybe Big John saw that. I remember Big John commenting, again, I'm going to be all over the place. I remember Big John commenting while I was at Georgetown to Murray Fenley, who was our, illustrious academic coordinator, rest in peace.
Salute,
he said to her, I don't know why these guys listen to Gene. Because, it's, you usually listen to the dopest cat on the team. But I'm just, I'm loud, I'm into it. I'm a gladiator. I was, win at all costs. And it's just one of those things. And let me throw this into the mix too, Glenn. I'm deaf in one ear. I can't hear my left ear. So I'm loud, right? And, it's just one of those things, man, where it's just, once I locked in and once I started hooping, man, it just became, became my personality, became my, whereas if I was shy off the court, it's just, I became Superman on the court. And it was never about scoring to me. I mean, I always wanted to be the guy who was in the best shape. I wanted to be the guy that could last. And that came in handy at Georgetown because we had so many dogs. I give you 10, 15 minutes hard, I'm putting my hand up. Like, come get me, but don't let us get 10, 15 behind. Dog, there are games that I go back and watch, and I don't necessarily watch the games so much. I watch how fast I ran through the scores table to get in the game. Dude, it was like there were a couple of times where he called somebody else's name and I'm running. So it's just I picked up the defensive stuff way early, going all the way back to elementary school. Coach Meebane, shout out to you. We had a defense where literally the other 4 players were in the backcourt, and I was the only guy in the front court, and I would just chase the ball from side to side. That's in the 5th and 6th grade. So it was already, the wheels were already turning. So it was just something I just really took pride in. Because, especially you New York City handlers, you ball handlers, you shake a cat up
We had the boogie. Pearl introduced the boogie hand, and everybody started doing it.
Hey, Glenn, I would literally fall on the ground. But guess what, Glenn? I'm still coming. You drop me, I'm getting up. I'll tip that joker from behind. So it was just something I took pride. Look at you. You get your ass just listen to me.
Man, listen, I know, brother, watching you help me. I'm telling you, this is no gas. I'm being real. I was never my team leading scorer. I was always like the third leading scorer, but I held the best player, and they couldn't win without me. I was the guy in everybody's face talking smack.
You know, dude, again, I do want to pay my respects to Pearl in a huge way because I know we only had 3 battles, and the one in the Big East Championship was legendary because he was on his thing, man. He was just, and I love that because that all that does is bring out the best in me, and so much so. Fast forward to the last game between Georgetown and Syracuse in the Big East.
Hold on, we gonna get there. We gonna get there.
Okay.
We gonna get there, right? Because he meant so much to the city because before him, it was Nate Tiny Archibald, and it was such a huge gap between him and Pearl, right?
Right.
So by the time Pearl arrived on the scene, he kind of inspired a whole plethora of guards, from the. They had the 3. We had Mark Jackson, Kenny Smith, Pearl, right?
Right.
But Pearl was the one
who playing against 2 of those 3. Playing against Mark Jackson as a freshman. Yeah.
There you go. You know what I'm saying? So you look at the impact that Pearl left on the streets because this guy was going around playing in all the local tournaments and killing and bringing everybody together. And when guys like Ross Strickland, Boo Harvey, Kenny Anderson, and all these other guys start to spring up, it's because of the magic that Pearl made. So whenever I put up a picture of Pearl or anything of Pearl, Kenny Anderson makes sure he pays homage. Because he'll tell you Pearl was that guy. And we miss him so much, man. And I wish, he could have been here to tell a story. But as we said, he was here to do what he was supposed to do. And then leave us with those blessings.
You said it in your intro. Playing against Pearl, for me, was one of the highlights of my career, if not the highlight. And again, I know you said we're going to get into it, but I just have to jump fast forward.
Go ahead.
I have to, because there was a moment when Georgetown and Syracuse was playing at the Garden. It was the last time they played in the Big East. I'm at the game, because like I told you, I lived in New York for a minute. I'm suited up. And I see out the corner of my eye this dude in the fur, and it wasn't Walt Frazier. It was Pearl. And, he had on the Cassels or whatever he had on. And dude, we saw each other, and all we did, dog, was give each other a dap, a hug, and it was just it was the most heartfelt thing for me. And we both had. I had my phone, could have taken a picture. I didn't even want one. I just wanted that memory and that feeling of respect. And it wasn't until years later that I heard that clip I sent you.
Yeah, he paid homage to you.
Man, again, the fact that he paid homage to me and the crew that way, just off the rip, because homegirl shoved the mic in this joint, and it was like, yo.
He said your name, fam.
Fam. Yeah, I was like, okay, so again, that embrace, didn't they hear that? There's no wonder when I got back to New York after many years, and it was 2019 when they did that dedication, and I missed the dedication. And I sent you that picture as well. That was important. I made a pilgrimage to Brownsville to see his street and to see his name and just just give him my and it was so cool. If you remember the picture I sent you, there was a stop sign and it was stop and then it was Pearl. And now I'm still trying to guard you, Pearl. I'm still trying to guard you.
Let's make some noise for that right there. This is real. This is real talk. We pay homage to the late, great Pearl Washington.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's my guy.
For
That's my
sure.
guy. Yes, that's my guy. So yeah, my New York roots, man. Like I said, I rattled off some names. My New York roots is strong. Again, it helped me put in perspective what Georgetown meant to the culture, because just the way the New York Cats treated me. Like, again, I played at the Rucker, and let me tell you how I played at the Rucker. They started me just to set the tempo. I probably played 5 minutes, got a steal early, the tempo got going, and we left everything else. We left DC, Steve Burke, Stevie, Tony Hargraves, McNasty. But I'm on the court with these New York City legends, yo, and it's like, I big up New York everywhere I go, man. I big up New York everywhere I go. So that rivalry between DC and New York is real and it's strong. And dude, just thank you for giving me this opportunity to say
listen.
this.
Even though Syracuse is in New York, everybody had those Georgetown starter jackets. I'm gonna keep it a buck. There was more people wearing those Georgetown starter jackets than any other college in our neighborhoods.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And again, I've lived the play ball in New York and the play ball in DC on the street level, and then play at the Garden.
Don't get any better than that. Who was the best player in your neighborhood when you was coming up in DC?
Best player in my neighborhood coming up in DC early on, Kenny Matthews, who wound up playing at NC State. But he was around the neighborhood. But you know how it was, Glenn. The Hustlers were the best ball players. And
talk about it.
You talk Ricky Reed. I mean, these are Jerome Osborne. These are people that didn't matriculate after high school. But when you get into the cats that were getting it done, you had cats like Stacey Robinson, Ducky Vaughn, and this is all throughout the DMV. But again, for me, Glenn, I wasn't looking, I wasn't on the scene like that. You know what I mean? So I was playing in the neighborhood, and then I play on my school team, but I wasn't in the mix like that. And I say this with love, and I say this with respect. When I go back to DC now, I get crazy love. But growing up, you got to earn it, and I wasn't in the mix like that. So it's like one of those things where I take compliments lightly, right? Because I'm chippy to begin with. So I came up chippy. Wasn't nobody paying attention to me when I was coming up. So by the time I got to Georgetown, I was out of my mind. Like, I'm trying to prove everybody wrong without saying that. But my game spoke for that. And it's just, man, I couldn't have gone to a better school. Couldn't have been a better situation. And again, I got to play with the Jamaican. I got to play with the
Big Pat. Oh, man.
Big Pat. So,
listen,
it couldn't have been
worse. And he's back. He's still at the school, correct?
Talk about serendipity, talk about 360. He back at the joint. I can pick up the phone and shoot him a text and this, that, and the other. And I'm going on record. He gonna win. He gonna go deep into the NCAA one of the years while he's there. But again, we're gonna need a New York City cat. We're gonna need some DMV cats. They built a little different now, but there's some dogs out there. We just need some dogs because
I heard Matumbo's son is a beast.
He coming. I mean, it's in the name. It's in the name. I ain't gonna give him beast mode yet. I love him, but I can't. I mean, when I think about beast, I gotta go all the way back to Michael Graham. That's what that's.
Yes.
And I had the chance to play with and against Richie Adams. So the kind of cats, don't make me.
Yes, the animal. Yes.
So left-handed cats too. Left-handed.
Back.
So and I'm on record. Pat gonna win. I mean, he won the Big East tournament last year. So with the team that was 13-13. So I don't think it's a matter of him being able to coach, but you and I know you gotta have the players.
You gotta have the players.
Gotta have the players. So I just think he on his grind, and it's gonna happen. I mean, we had too much of a network not to be funneling cats there. You know, so yeah, it's just a matter of time. It's a matter of time. He's a winner. He's a winner every way he goes.
So when you got to Georgetown, what adjustments did you have to make, besides, being on the court? What was your maturity process once you got to Georgetown?
The school part was the biggest adjustment. You know, because again, you go into one of the most prestigious universities in the country. Big John ain't letting you cut. Sleepy. Focused. And, you know, Fred had already lit the fire under me by telling me I wasn't going to play. So it was one of the things where I already had something to prove. I got into a room where I didn't really feel like I belonged because, you know, you're talking about cats that had been recruited nationally. But we're talking about 1980. So Big John still had predominantly DC, and then he would cherry pick where he could nationally. But a lot of these cats were still Sleepy Floyd came to Georgetown underrated. You know, and
Go
Sleep,
figure.
you know, go figure. And Sleep to me, I worked in the gym my first 2 years at Georgetown, which allowed me to work on my game. So my sophomore year, which happens to be the year we made the run in '82, Sleep shows up to the gym, Glenn, and just starts working out with me. Didn't say a word, but he working out with me. And I'm thinking, he the nicest cat on the crew.
Mm.
He's showing up to work out with me. So clearly, I'm going hard for him to say I'm gonna get some. Cause Sleep, he ain't showing up for fun and games. He ain't
Right.
It ain't no shit and giggles. So literally, we going full court 1-on-1, dog. Sweat dripping. He made me a better offensive player in practice. So the biggest compliment anyone has ever paid to me. I mean, again, the Pearl compliment, Sleep showing up at the gym to work out with me. And that became a tradition at Georgetown. So you show up, we go big men, we go on full court 1-on-1. And because of my speed and quickness, you know, I'm gonna get a bunch of breakaway layups in the full court 1-on-1. So I ain't sitting down all the time. So it's just like we had legendary workouts. We brought the whole pro format to Georgetown because you gotta understand, Georgetown wasn't the cream of the crop in terms of schools back then. It was Maryland.
Right.
Albert King, Buck Williams. You know, they had the city by the throat. And it was in 79, 80, the year before I got there, Georgetown put that whooping on Maryland. And Georgetown went to the Elite Eight, 79, 80. So they had already started to, you know,
Making their building blocks. Yeah.
And now you bring in the cat from Cambridge, Massachusetts. We ready. You already had Fred there the year before as your point guard, because the legendary point guard before that was the guy by the name of John Bebe Dorn.
Mm.
So Bebe set the mark in terms of the quintessential point guard. Fred came in and just shattered that mold. Fred was, dude. He was throwing passes, you know, 3 plays ahead. So that all I did was make me a better player. So when you talk about adjustments, you just had to, man. It was just like one of those things where you had no choice because the bar was so high, but it wasn't spoken. It wasn't spoken. So, you know, I got a little podcast I'm doing, whatever you want to call it, Zoom series, Hoya Locker Room, where I'm celebrating that tradition. But what I'm trying to do, Glenn, is not stay in the past. I'm trying to bring that joint forward. You know, I got a Frederick Douglass quote that I use. You know, the past is only good if you can make it relatable to the present and to the future. So I'm not sure them youngins that's there now, because you got the #1 cat. You got Patrick as your coach. I'm not sure if they understand that, like, the heritage is built in there. Like, we don't.
But this is why we have to bridge the gaps,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Because I know sometime in the future, somebody gonna get this history wrong, and they have a reference point from hearing straight from the guy's mouth about what happened, and they can get these lessons to prepare themselves for their future endeavors in basketball.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
You
sir.
know,
So
I want to talk. Go ahead.
No. Come on, man. Come on.
No,
Please.
we want to talk about, let's talk about this for a second. You guys changed the face of college basketball on the national stage, right? Because before you guys, we didn't see a whole bunch of black guys on one team. And it's meant a lot for us because it gave us that pride and that inspiration as youngsters to know that we could play on that big stage one day. And it was a bunch of y'all, almost the whole team.
Yeah.
Were brothers. That was the first time we saw that.
And the man at the top, the man on the bench with the towel and the casal was a brother. And he was
That's
a brother.
Right.
He was
That's
a brother that could dress you down and up. He was 6'10", speaks the King's English. But when I tell you, at Georgetown, you had your government name, and then you had the MF. Everybody was an MF. That was your second name. And I swear on my show. I'm not gonna swear on your show, but MF was your second name. And,
for sure.
I mean, he was like your uncle. He let you know, I ain't trying to be your dad, but I'm gonna talk to you like I'm your dad.
Right.
And I mean, what he instilled in us was a sense of pride. It was nothing like going through the airport back then. We were coat and tie. And, the coat and tie, it might have been a little busted, because, we from where we from.
That's right. And you make it work. That's it.
Make it work. The socks didn't match. The tie might have been a little crumpled, but we were coat and tie, Glenn. And all I can tell you is the people in the airport, not the people who were flying, but the people who were working in the airport, coming from behind the counters and, almost saluting us. I mean, man, that you're talking about power, man. It was, and I gotta tell you, and again, I'm back on my New York people. I did not understand the impact of that until I lived in New York. I did not, because you and I both know when you up in it, you ain't really, you're not locked in like
Yeah,
that.
it's kind of hard because you just live in it. You just live in it, right? What borough did you live in when you lived in New York City?
I lived in Manhattan for about 10 years. I lived in Harlem for like 3-4 years, and the last I lived in Washington Heights for a couple of years.
Now listen, it's all on the same island, right? You heard what he said? He lived in Manhattan, Harlem, and Washington Heights. For all my people in New York City, y'all know it's a difference. It's a difference. And you get the New York stamp because you know the difference, man. You just didn't say, I lived in Manhattan for 15 years. You knew there was a difference.
Break it down, dog.
Right.
Yes,
There's a whole big difference.
There's a whole
right?
big difference. Yes, sir.
So
again, the pride thing, being Black America's team, like, that meant something, man. That meant something. It meant more to me after the fact, because as we mentioned, when you're up in it, you don't know. And the fact that, Georgetown, Big John got to Georgetown 72, 73. And, there weren't a lot of black coaches, if any.
no.
Certainly not on that level. And Georgetown took a shot on him. And, I'm sure there were times where they had to take a deep breath, because Big John he set up that shop. To this day, it's still remnants of Big John. I don't know if you had a chance to read his autobiography.
No, I haven't.
I came as a shadow. When I get my copy, don't buy one. I'll send you my copy. My brother got
I
my copy.
appreciate it. Thank
And,
you.
and it's just one of those things. And the book, and I say this with all due respect, the book only gives you a glimpse of this dude, man. Only gives you a glimpse. If you talk about his impact on the game, if you talk about his impact on the culture, you can't do it with through rose-colored glasses. Like I mean, some of the things he did were just straight gangster. You know,
Listen, he believed in AI. Without John Thompson, we do not get Allen Iverson, a kid that got in trouble, but you needed somebody strong enough to have his back and know, that he can bring this kid to the next level. And that doesn't happen. Plus with all of you guys. Because I know people are just waiting for somebody to get in trouble.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He had the NCAA, like again, dog, we dotted every I and crossed every T. Like he was not leaving anything out there hanging in the wind for somebody to grab a hold of. And when for me, again, me personally, because everybody's experience is different. You and I both know you can have 12 cats on the team. All 12 of y'all don't like each other. It don't.
That rarely happens.
That rarely happens. So
yes.
for me, he could have told me to run through a brick wall. How I got there, I was running through a brick wall. But you take somebody like a Reggie Williams. Shit, Reggie was the #1 player coming out of high school. He could have gone anywhere he wanted to go. He got to talk to Reggie a little bit different than you talk to Gene. And he was a master at that. But what he did not ever do was everybody up in there was going to be a dog. Everybody up in there was going to be prepared for battle. He gave us a mantra of sorts. If it's going to be us, if we're going to get it, we're not looking for a fight. But if a fight breaks out, we can accommodate you.
Better not back down. Better not back down. And somebody put up, my guy Basil put up Michael Graham, right?
Yes, sir.
The real beast, Georgetown, a guy, he didn't take any smack from anyone.
I mean, dog, think about it. Michael Graham played 1 year there. The following
and
year,
think about 1 year, and no one ever forgot about him.
No, he is by far the most requested. Like people like, whatever happened to Michael Graham? And again, dog, during the year, he was not that 10 deep. 10 deep. He had like a 16-point, 12 rebound game against some Little Sisters of the Poor. But that Syracuse game, he got into it with Andre Hawkins. And almost got kicked out. And I'm spending some time on Michael Graham because Michael Graham is my guy. He is my guy. Like, meteoric, right? Just like he epitomized to me what Georgetown was before we got there. Just we were pressing you from the jump, yo. Pressing you from the jump. So think about it. 83, 84, we win the national championship. They come back in 85 without Michael Graham and run through everybody. I cannot fathom if Michael Graham was on that team. Like that's a monster team.
Yeah. But look how great John Thompson is, right? He can have someone like Michael Graham, who everybody, you said tough-minded, street-minded, whatever, and then have a guy like Ralph Dalton, who's,
Wall Street Ralph.
One of the best students, Wall Street, brainiac, bringing the best grades and doing it on the court, right? So I had that balance was amazing, and to be able to coach through that.
We had a scenario where, we were almost like, we epitomized what you wanted in a student athlete off the court. Man, when we got in between those lines, it was ugly. I used to tell people all the time, we were the ugliest team in college basketball. Like we were scowling from the locker room onto the court. And what I loved about the Big East back then is everybody was like that. Every game in the Big East was a war, man. It was a battle. It was a battle, man. So, man, man, thank you for allowing me this opportunity to spit, because I don't talk about this with anybody. I don't talk
Nah,
about
brother, listen. I want to get into how the hell you shut Stuart Granger down.
As a freshman?
No, brother, come on. This is, we all knew what he brought to the table.
Yeah, Stu was a man. Stu was a man. I mean, I just
man, what did you do?
It's funny you bring that up, because I was on a Big East show, and every player remembers like kind of your breakout game, right? And my breakout game was 0 points, 3 steals, and assists, but I guarded Stuart Granger and I caused him problems. And I remember that game because we were at McDonough, and the next day in the paper, it was Gene Smith, Hoya star on the rise. And dude, I didn't have a shot like that in high school. So just imagine me getting that jump. And I just remember Eric Floyd saying to me, "Yo, dude, this is the best point guard in the league.
Yeah.
I'm going to need you to do that shit you do to me in practice. I'm going to need that same energy." And I just know, dog, I was diving into the stands, taking out popcorn, taking out beer, taking out everybody. I gauged my performance by how many times I knocked over the Gatorade cooler. That's how I figured out how I was balling. So it was all just, man, I wanted teams to get up on us because I'm coming. I averaged 23 minutes throughout my whole career game, and for the way that I played, man, I'm good with that. So it was just energy, man. It was just energy. I'm a tempo guy. I understand time and score. Yeah, I mean, all I know is this.
You didn't just do it with him. You got to the NCAA tournament and you shut down the whole Kentucky backcourt. 3 future pros, first rounders.
Well, yeah, but again,
back during the time, it was 7 rounds in the NBA. And by the time I got out, it was only 2, so I knew it was a wrap.
Well, again, you had me going with the Pearl post, and then you posted Vern Fleming. And I'm like, this dude is in my head because you mentioned 7 rounds. I got drafted. Just think, 1 scholarship offer coming out of high school, had an awesome career from my standards at Georgetown. Got invited to the Olympic trials in '84 because of Big John. I met Vern there. I get drafted by the Pacers in the 5th round, 96 overall. 1 scholarship offer, the 96th player drafted in the NBA. And when I tell you, I got a phone call from a friend. "Yo, man, did you hear on the radio you've been drafted?" I said, "Drafted what? The Army? They don't draft in the Army no more. What you talking about? This is 84. They ain't doing that no more." So, and this is the crazy thing. This is how Big John worked back then. Big John told everybody, "You watch, that little MF gonna make it." I didn't find this out until a decade later. Because the funny thing, Glenn, I was this close. This close. And I got one picture that I didn't send you. We played Michael Jordan, Chicago Bulls, because he came out in '84, so obviously we can't have to say. I got the picture because he got ripped too. He got ripped. I got the picture at the crib with me laying it up over Michael Jordan. It was
nice. Please send me that, brother. Please.
It will never see the damn light. Everybody will go, "Man, that's Photoshop."
Nah, brother. Was it after the pick? Was it after the pick?
It was after the pick. And I made the layup, dog.
Wow. Question. Did you have any battles against Gary McLean?
McLean, I'm trying to think. Gary McLean would have been, was he a senior on that 85 team?
Yes.
So I definitely would have had some battles. I just remember, you remember Carl Hobbs from University of Connecticut? Okay, you don't remember Carl Hobbs.
No.
Carl Hobbs and Gary McLean were similar. Gary McLean, I don't recall. I just remember his number was 22. I do remember that. But I don't remember any epic battles. I don't remember any epic battles with Gary McLean. I do not.
All right. I'm going to go back to Pearl for a minute.
Please.
What was the scouting report? What was the scouting report? Because that's the question I want to know. Because, this is coming from Coach John Thompson to you guys.
The scouting report was keep him out of the middle. And if anything, jumper. Just let him shoot. Keep him out of the paint. We don't want our bigs to get in foul trouble, which made that game in the Garden, that Big East championship game, so epic because the jumper was working and you had no answers. There were just no answers for him that night. And
at least for the first 4 quarters and then the overtime, you kind of put the clamps on him.
For 39 minutes, there were no answers. For 39 minutes. And dare I say it, I don't know if Pearl ran out of gas. I'm looking forward to one day having that conversation with Pearl. I'm looking forward to it.
And I think, too, with the defense and the guys just stopped looking for him. He had older guys in his team, that probably wanted to get their things off, but it just seemed like they kind of phased them out towards the end.
But you and I both know we played ball a long time. And Syracuse, I'm sure they felt they should have won in regulation. And when you go to the overtime, we over there.
Y'all got Big Pat. That's another. He came alive in overtime. He came alive in overtime.
So it's one of those things. Y'all MF should have got us in regulation. And I always remember that at the press conference, Jim Boeheim.
He was mad. He wanted Graham to get thrown out the game. He wanted so bad for Graham to get thrown out the game.
Glenn, he threw a chair at the press conference. He threw a chair off the podium. And he said the best team did not win tonight. And again, they had us in regulation. And once he got to that second stanza, it was kind of a wrap. And again, we played them 3 times that year. We beat them all 3 times. And I mentioned to you earlier, Pearl I think he had 14 in the first game, 20 in the second game, and then the Big East championship game, he had 27. So
29.
29.
Yeah.
We ain't shorting him nothing.
Yeah. 29 and 6. Yeah, definitely.
But for me, that battle with him in the Garden, even though good offense. I don't care what kind of defense you got. You can't stop good offense. But what you can do is hope to contain it. What you can do is pick your spots. You pick this. I'm talking to another defensive head. You pick your spots, and I certainly picked my spots against Pearl. But he was the ultimate challenge for me. And Brownsville's finest, Big East's finest. I always take my hat off to him. There's a couple platforms out there, a couple profiles out there. They salute Pearl in a big way. I got the Pearl T-shirt, man. I should have wore it tonight. I got the Pearl T-shirt in there somewhere, remembering Pearl. So it's just one of those things, man. Yeah, man. Me being, a defensive cat, you want to play against the best offensive dudes. Which again, talking about New York, I just got to give Speedy Williams a shout out because I ran up on Speedy before Speedy had really gotten into his flow, into his rhythm in the season. And what I loved about Speedy was, I'm picking you up in pickup games full court. Like, I'm
Yes.
that guy. I'm that guy.
Yes.
So, Cass is like, dude, we just run.
Why you going so hard?
Why you,
We just playing pickup.
I only know one way, dog. Like,
That's right.
I don't have a lot of basketball friends because of that. Basketball friends I have is cats that I play with. But opponents, because I'm picking you. I don't care if we playing at West 4th. I don't care if we playing at Rutgers. I don't care if we playing at IS 8. I don't care what. I can go on and on because I'm showing you my New York memory. I'm picking you up full court. So I picked Speedy up full court in the workout. So I'm inbound and they throw me the ball and Speedy picking me up full court. So I was like, so I know I had that impact on them in a subtle way. But that's why when I heard Speedy won the last man standing thing with the Knicks, that's Speedy. Play both sides of the court. So when I look at these guards now, my godson is at the University of Connecticut, Jalen Gaffney.
Okay.
Can fly out and I'll play. His dad and I worked at Nike together. His dad is from Archbishop Malloy.
Yes. My guy John Arnold coached Jalen. Yes.
Okay, so I'm giving you my New York City love here.
Yeah. Strong connection.
So when I look at Jalen, whenever I give him a little tidbit, this, that, and the other, be that cat on both sides. Be that cat on both sides. Because again, you want to impact the game in every possible way that you can. And for me, I was, in terms of assist to turnover ratio, I was always amongst the best on the team. Some of Patrick's most epic dunks are coming from my dimes. So it's like you make an impact wherever you can on the court. Defense was what I hung my hat on. But you get me on the offensive end, I know where to get the cat the ball at the right time, right place, to get his shot off. I'm a joy to play with because I'm looking to give it up. And my big man in high school used to always say, if you see Gene get out on the break and make a steal, start running because he's going to miss the layup, and that's a tap dunk.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
For sure, yeah.
Listen, you was one of the few guys who didn't score a lot of points, but still got invited to the Olympic trials. How was that experience?
The whole 84 season was a whirlwind. We win the Big East regular season, win the Big East tournament, win the national championship. So getting invited to the Olympic trials was just like icing on the cake. And I know for a fact Big John went in there and said, "Yo, you taking my man," because Bobby Knight was the coach that year. He's a defensive-minded coach, so hopefully it wasn't a hard sell. But it's one of those things, fam. I've been extremely fortunate with this ball thing, particularly because of how I played. I was invited to the 88 trials as well, so I've been to 2 Olympic trials. And it's one of those things. Big John was the head coach in '88, so that invitation was one of those things where you see how you're looking at me like you're not. That's kind of how Big John invited me to '88. I need you to come in here, even though you 4 years removed. I need you to come in here with that defensive energy. And I need you to spray that around this whole, because defense is infectious, right? Like
yes.
You got one cat that can impact the 4 others just by how hard he going. Because at some point in time, you're going, yo, this dude going, I got to lock in too. And if I lock in and you get a little steal, then we talking about breakaways. And then everybody in the flow now. So the experience in '84 was, just think about who was on the '84 team.
Name them. Let's go. I want to hear it. Let's go.
Chris Mullins, David Robinson, Charles Barkley, going up against John Stockton.
Yo, you talking this Hall of Famers. This is Hall of Fame talk right here. Right? This is NBA Hall of Fame talk right here.
So, you got me, again, I don't want to hark on, I don't want to, one
No,
scholarship.
brother, this is your night, man. This is your night, brother.
This is Pearl though. This is Pearl. Pearl got me here. Pearl got me here. And my
There you go.
My New York City family. Like again, I'm gonna rep my New York City family. And obviously, I'm DC to the fullest. We ain't gonna never get that twisted.
Right, that's right.
But being in that company, man, you know, at that point in time, I'm a senior. I'm getting ready to graduate. If anything, I figured out my value, right? I know my value. It wasn't so much about being humble. This is the Big John wasn't trying to give you time to, you know, we wasn't reading shit in the paper about ourselves. It wasn't that kind of practice. Wasn't that kind of flow at Georgetown. So, you know, it's just it was a culmination of things, man. That was, you know, that put the stamp on it, and then to get drafted was just bananas. You know, like that. I didn't go to Georgetown to play in the NBA. That's not why I went to Georgetown. I went to Georgetown because it gave me an opportunity to first and foremost play against some of the best talent around and get a top flight education. And, you know, the fact that I, you know, got to a national championship, was part of a national championship team, runner-up in '82, and then the winning in '84, you know, there are no accidents in life, man. Things happen the way they're supposed to happen. So, yeah, I'm good with it. I'm good with it. Yeah.
And listen, you can add on to this because once you got to the NBA, you got to see how good Vern Fleming really was. The Mr. Underrated himself. I need everybody in New York to understand Vern Fleming was a constant pro, okay, on and off the court. And he always made New York look good.
Consummate pro, dog. Pro. And then it's almost like the cat, there was nothing he couldn't do on the basketball court. There was nobody he couldn't guard. He knew angles. Everything was an angle to him, right? He could run a team. He could get buckets if you needed him to get buckets. And guess what? After the game, dude was gone. He was on family man, on to the next. Where's Vern these days? Is he? Listen,
we're trying to find him. I put out posts. Every time I put a post, I let people know. If someone knows where Vern Fleming is at, please.
Okay.
He's still around. From what I hear, he's still around.
Okay, yeah.
But again, being a family man, being the kind of guy that he is, he's not all in everybody's face. And I would love to get a story one day because he did it big for New York.
Yeah, he did it big. Big up to Vern. Big up to Vern. Big up to Vern. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I'm reading more about you, and I see you was part of the Nike family for a long time and a motivational speaker. Tell me how you got into that.
So I started working for Nike 2 years after I graduated, so '86. So I was there from '86 to 2008, and you know, and
family ties.
I guess that's crazy because you think of, my number was 22. I was at Nike for 22 years, and
the Most High don't make mistakes.
It's one of those things where, you know, Nike wasn't the company that it became in '86. Nike started off as a running company, and then they got into basketball right around '84 when they invested in Jordan. They brought Jordan along. Then next thing you know, they had Barkley, had David Robinson, they had everybody, they had all these campaigns, and you know, I talk about my Nike career it's bittersweet. You know, I held it down in New York. I was a sales guy. But I never got into that management role where I could impact others. It was I made a grip, took care of my family but the motivational part was anytime I saw a young brother or a young sister come in, and I would tap them, like, yo, this is the landscape around here. This is how we get down. This is where your roadblocks are going to be. And so when I say bittersweet, I wanted to be in a position where I could hire people, but that wasn't my path. That wasn't my journey. But I put in work. I wanted to be known as not the Nike guy, right? Because once you get that, every time you turn around, somebody, yo, can I get a pair of shoes? Can I get this? Can I get that? Right. I'm a businessman.
Right.
I'd like to think that I had an impact on the mom and pops in New York City, because my approach was, and this was before Foot Locker took over everything. My approach was, Nike built this business on the backs of those local accounts. At that time, Jimmy Jazz, Dr. J's, and Dr. J's, they were corporate accounts. I was talking about like Sammy's Fashion. Sammy's in the Bronx. That's my guy. I opened Sammy's, BJ's that was in Harlem. I opened BJ's. So these are accounts that I made sure, even though product was allocated, because Nike became so good with its business model, they could pick and choose who they gave whatever to. Well, I can talk about it now. I broke that mold. I made sure every independent account ate just like Foot Locker ate. So that was my claim to fame. Like, from a retail standpoint, I wanted the local cat to have the Jordans, to have the Air Force Ones, to have the Air Max 95s. I wanted them to have the Barclays. I wanted them to have all the product that resonated in the neighborhood, just like Foot Locker did. And that didn't necessarily always make me a popular guy at the meetings, but I played at Georgetown. I'm used to not being popular.
Talk that talk.
So yeah.
If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So yeah.
Have you ever heard the story of Spencer Haywood?
Yes, sir. Of course I have. But please, I'd like to hear it again for our audience, for our 20.
Listen, I think it was 1978. They came to him and they asked him, I think it was 70, I think it's 70 or 73. I'm not sure. Hold on. I'm going to give it to you right now. Hold up. Yes, Spencer Haywood. It says, Nike, the shoe of champion, Spencer Haywood. They offered him $100,000 or 10% of Nike to wear their sneakers. I don't have to say how that turned out because he took the other deal. I don't know who talked him into it, but that would be worth somewhere around $4 billion today.
He took short money. He took the short money. Yeah, he took the short money. And
I'm thinking maybe the agent was involved because maybe the agent don't get no PC, that percentage, and he wanted his PC, so he's like, let's get this money now because we don't know how Nike's going to turn out, and voila. This is why we never take that short money deal.
But see, I don't want to get on a soapbox, but I put in 2 decades at a brand that, again, they're part of our culture. But again, once you open up the hood, there's not enough of that culture that's part of the workforce. It's part of, particularly in decision-making positions. And, I wasn't necessarily a champion or trying to pull Nike's coat, but I was trying to lead by example. So, Glenn, I show up at the meetings, they might be in a sweatsuit. I'm in a coat and tie. I'm professional. Wherever I went on Nike's dime, I came professional. And, because again, it wasn't about me, it's about the cat coming from behind me.
That's right.
But my challenge to these youngins, particularly hoopers, athletes, make these brands accountable. Like when you finish your college career, if you're not doing anything in the NBA, there's a business of sport. Particularly now where these kids can take advantage of their name, image, likeness. I have a agency called Brand I Am that I do consulting. And if there is ever a kid that you think needs help in understanding what NIL is all about, send them my way pro bono. Because it's a different way of thinking now, right? As athletes, we're so accustomed to someone telling us what's good for us or what's a good campaign or what we should do. No one has the ingenuity and creativity other than the person who's creating, right? So it's like Carl and Pearl Pac-Man. Boom. There's a direct connect there. There's merchandise, there's T-shirts, there's things that you can do. So you don't have to rely on a brand to do that. But by the same token, we should be in a position where we're working for these brands where we can create these campaigns. So I say all this to say that if you're currently a student athlete and your school is a Puma school or a Nike school, when the Puma guy comes around, talk to him about what he does. Talk to him about opportunities. Talk to him about the internship, a paid internship. Because again, they're benefiting from your life. They benefited history, right? So the playing field will never be equal. But again, it's a different way of thinking. The agency that I mentioned, Brand I Am, we're on Instagram, and I'm going to send you a request to follow us. But it's one of those things where we want to educate you in how to think. Because there are things that you're doing now as an athlete, as a student athlete, that directly tie into branding and marketing, but you don't think about it that way. I mean, you just think about, like, I like to go to this place and eat all the time. Well, do you know if you're on TV every weekend and you're going to this place to eat, you're of value to that establishment. Next thing you know, I can have a Glenn Pooh Harding sandwich, and they got to pay me for that. That's my favorite sandwich. But again, these youngins are not thinking that way. And
listen, this is why.
Yes, sir.
And look.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm sending you my address. I want that.
For sure. We got to start somewhere, brother.
Yes,
And look, whatever way we'll talk later, but I like that. I like the whole idea, especially empowering the next generation as well.
Well, we broke it down like Biggie. We got 12 commandments. You need to have this right here. And if anybody is coming to you to represent you in any way, you got this list of things. And if they're not talking to you that way, then they're wasting your time. The money for an agent isn't necessarily in the contract that they do for you. They got a standard fee there. The money comes in the branding and the marketing piece. The percentage goes up. Now, again, they keep the agents that are in the game. LeBron and his people at Clutch have done a really good job. But most of the agents in the game, they've been there forever.
Yep. They doing the same thing, recycling the same
energy. And
yeah,
literally what they do is they show up and they say, well, we got the Nike Connect. What does that mean? Like, I need you to know what I like, what I do, what I stand for. So when I go to the Nike meeting, I got my own stuff to talk about. Nike needs to meet me halfway. Puma needs to meet me halfway. But again, these kids aren't educated that way. So, we're out there. We got a couple youngins we're working with. I'm not trying to, sell anything, but I want the athlete to be empowered because the landscape has changed. So yeah, put that in your back pocket. And if you got any kids that need some educating, because again, it's dollars and cents now, and you can run your own. You only have to run it by your coach. You can do your own deal, and it starts mad young, just like the game has gone mad young. So these kids need to be thinking about this sooner versus later.
Well, you heard about overtime elite.
Overtime elite.
High school kids, right? Give them a shot. Six-figure deals. You know, to bypass college, man. So the revolution has started.
It started. And I'm trying to tell a kid, you can do both. You can do both. My son just said, can I hire you? K-Staff 07 is my son. You're too difficult to work with, son. my son balls in the CFL. He plays
salute.
Plays in the CFL. Plays for Ottawa Red Blacks.
Nice. Salute, Oliver. Look, how do you stay in shape these days, man? Because you still look the same, brother.
It's the youngin I got that keeps me on my toes, and I got a good foundation. I got a good base, and you know, one plate. You can't have more than one plate when you sit down, though. Like if you're sitting down and you're getting multiple, you know, and always, you know, I went through a period where I was a vegetarian, so it's just knowing how to eat. You know, the older we get,
you vegetarian?
I went through a 10-year period where I was a vegetarian.
I'm doing a little pescatarian now, right?
It's a good look.
I'm staying away from the chicken, the beef, and the pork. Right? So definitely making my transition, man. And it's helping my skin clear up.
Helps everything, though. And I learned it mad early. So I learned it when I was younger. So I guess I got a nice foundation. But yeah, I mean, it's just knowing how to eat, nutrition, the things we don't talk about as a culture as much as we should.
Listen, I juice every day. I see That's my breakfast.
I see you, yeah.
That's my breakfast right there, right? I make sure I get my juice in, and then I eat a nice dinner later on, maybe a little pasta and fish, you know.
Yep. So yeah, that's
keep it simple.
Just keep it simple. Manage what you eat. We know as a culture what our blind spots are. You know what I mean? Like if you're a dessert cat, just tell yourself I'm only gonna have dessert a couple days a week. It's just management, and it's the more we can instill that in our youth early, then it becomes like my little dude, he eats more vegetable than anything, But so
that's awesome.
So when it comes time for him to be making his own decisions, it's already gonna be built in.
Solid. Well, listen, man, we about to get into our top five. All right, now, this is the moment of the show.
Hold on.
We go down and list off a few things to wrap up the show.
Wipe my brow, okay?
Please, because this is
important.
I tell people, this may get you in trouble with the people around the way, but this is all come from you, brother. All right. I want to know the top 5 players from the DMV area. I'm going to drink some alkaline water.
I'm going to have to go get me a drink. I'm going to have to go get me some water. Oh, I got a bottle right here.
Top 5 DMV all-time greats from your perspective.
My perspective. John Bebe Dorn, who played at Georgetown, legendary captain.
Who that? Say that again.
John Bebe Dorn.
Bebe Dorn. Okay. Yes, you mentioned him. Yes.
Played at Georgetown. Graduated the year I got there. Drafted in the first round by the Utah Jazz. First Georgetown player to be drafted in the NBA.
Nice. That's history right there.
So legendary one. It might be all guards, just in terms of.
Hey,
it might be all guards.
Call it how you see it.
Like you said, this is my joint. I didn't get a chance to see this cat play, but I spent a lot of time with him over the last 10 years, and just his knowledge of the game and his rep is legendary. Stacey Robinson. Another Dunbar guy, left-handed, was a magician on the floor. Another, like I said, another Dunbar guy. Shit, man, you put a brother on the spot. Adrian Dantley.
I was waiting for his name to come up. Mr. Yo, this is him at the foul line, right?
Dude,
This is him right here.
So Glenn, I gotta digress. For something. I have so much respect for Adrian Dantley because he was 6'5", though. He played like he was 6'8", 6'9". He didn't care.
Power forward. He was killing guys. Posted him up.
Hall of Famer. I reached out to New Balance because Adrian was a New Balance guy. New Balance has a huge following in D.C. on the running shoe tip. New Balance has recently gotten the basketball. They got Kawhi Leonard. They got Kawhi Leonard. They got Darius Baisley. I basically said to them, you need to do something in D.C. that represents the culture. You can introduce your basketball business, but you need to start with Adrian Dantley as that becomes your starting point. And, I served it up. Again, this is where, I think the brand sometimes either, they don't know or they don't want to know. And I'm saying this with all due respect. Because DC loves you. How you show the respect to DC that you love them and do business. Because you're not a basketball powerhouse.
No.
But you do the right thing, the culture will remember. And I'm going to sidestep for a minute. So my working in New York as a sales guy was during the heyday of Timberland. Timberland has never paid the proper amount of respect to the culture.
Facts. And then they put out a statement saying they didn't, make their boots for people to wear them in the inner city.
I don't care who you made them for. I know who buying them.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do about that? So again, being a part of the industry as a person that I made a living there in that industry. So those kind of things don't add up. So when I'm thinking about these youngins who are coming up in the game, know who and what you're supporting and what it's really all about. Because, if the customer starts to make some noise, and you do it in a way where it's challenging, you challenge them. Like we don't need no advertising about grass and Timberland and construction and all that in the city. I'm wearing these joints on the train.
Facts.
I'm wearing these joints, and I'm lacing them a certain kind of way. And wheat means wheat. Wheat don't mean orange. So how you don't recognize that to me is always a challenge. So back to my top five. So I had to. Thank you for letting me digress and be all over the place.
No, it's all good because look, when Stephon came out with his shoe, everybody attacked him, right?
Right.
Everybody attacked him, and he was making them affordable, and he was making sure that kids in the inner city got the sneakers first.
So if I would have been part of Stephon's team, I would have hit him with, you do that joint, but you still got to do a performance joint. You still got to do a joint that's that's the one that's, I'm still rocking that. You got to have a nice joint, right? Perceived value. You can't just do the price point and not give them something up over here too. Because I might buy both of them joints. You can keep it at 100, 110. It ain't got to be two bills. Because the reality is we're going to spend our money the way we want to spend it.
Facts.
Right? Facts. And there's always a way where you can build in, I'm going to have a give back. So if I'm making this, 10% I'm donating to this, 10% I'm donating to that. So, but if you're not from the culture, chances of you thinking like that from a brand perspective is slim to none. Because you just, it's cash cow. But again, I'm back in my top 5 now.
All right. You got 2 more.
You gave me some time to think. Thank you. So, next up, going to be a point guard, another point guard. And these are all people that have blessed me, right? And they made an impact on me in a way that, again, like, they helped steer me along. A guy by the name of Ducky Vaughn. And Ducky Vaughn went to Cornell, 5'9", just a beast. Ivy League, a beast with the ball. Had a mid-range game when 5'9" cats didn't have a mid-range game. So that puts me at 4. And 5 would have to be Kenny Matthews. I mentioned him already. 6'4", went to NC State. Was a sharpshooter, but he was a guy that we look forward to, like he was that guy, the first one to make it out. And I apologize if I let you down, Glenn. I didn't have any illustrious names. But...
No. They need to know those names too.
Those are the guys.
That's why I make these questions. They need to know these other names. They need to know who's the best guy in the neighborhood. They need to know who's the first one out, right? And the guy that, who did it on and off the court. You got a guy on your list that's straight Ivy League, man. We don't usually get that. All right, now. This one gonna be a little bit, I would say, fun than the last one. Top 5 players you played against.
Wow. Well, it starts with the cat that we're here, the reason why we're here. So it starts with Pearl, right?
Facts.
And then I'm gonna go with Eric Floyd because I played against him for 2 years, 2 years straight. The guy was all of $170, soaking wet, but had the heart of a lion. Wasn't your your quintessential pure shooter, but the bigger the game, the better he played. So Pearl, Eric Floyd, Fred Brown. Fred and I came in together, played against him for 4 years. When Fred got injured,
and the guy that told you wasn't gonna play,
guy who inspired me. But Fred, Fred, when he hurt his leg junior year, Fred was still able. He started his senior year. Fred was still able to contribute just because he was so smart. You've been with cats like that, right? Who was just so and that was Fred. So I'm at 3, Sam Worthing.
New York City legend. Woo! Live right up the block. Well, used to. Now I think he in the Bronx.
So playing against Sam was. I said this about Stuart Granger earlier on the Facebook post. It was like taking a master class in what it is to be a ball player or a point guard playing against Sam. Glenn, Sam would literally. He would get the ball. He would see me coming. He'd give it up. New York City cat not taking the challenge. Get down the other end, Sam. Bucket. Sam,
smart, yeah.
He seems like, Gene, you think I'm bringing it up on you? The whole man, what do I look like? I'm too smart for this. So, Fred Brown, Sam Worthing, Eric Floyd, Pearl Washington, and my 5th cat would be. I can't stop at 4, can I? I gotta give you a 5.
No, you gotta give me 5, man.
I gotta say the Jamaican, Patrick Ewing.
Okay.
And again, I'm just playing against him in practice, but if Patrick, and this is a complete, sidebar, if Patrick can figure out a way to coach the way he played, he can figure out a way. And when I say that, his freshman year, Glenn, he was so unrelenting. He was so. I've never seen a 7-footer that athletic in all my. I mean, he couldn't put the ball on the floor, none of that. But don't let him get it on the break. Oh, he was taking that for himself. I mean, I'm talking through, step through, finger roll. He wasn't even trying to dunk it. He was so. He athletically for a 7-footer. That's my guy. So that's my 5, yo. That's my 5.
All right, last one.
Yes,
Top 5 basketball movies all time.
Wow. He's got what is it? He's Got Game. Is that the Denzel?
He's Got Game, okay.
He's Got Game.
That's that Lincoln.
That's that
right
Lincoln.
there. Yeah.
And they get Georgetown shout out. Georgetown shout out at the end. Love and Basketball. Just because we need that. What was the joint with Tupac and Leon?
I was in that movie, Above the Rim.
Above the Rim. At 3. Basketball movies. Hoosiers. I'm sorry.
Nah, for sure.
Sorry.
Even though that movie is really about the Crispix Addicts team,
it is.
right?
It is. Yes, sir.
That had Oscar Robertson on it, right?
Yes, sir. And I noticed you had your computer there, so I got mine here, and I'm gonna pull up this one joint because I can't think of it right now. Hit photos. What's the joint? That it's on the Texas Western team. Glory.
Yes. And look, they were the foundation. You guys were the reality. Because they started 5 black guys in the championship, right?
Right.
And you guys brought a whole team.
So I want to have this conversation with you. Thank you for bringing that up. There's the Texas Western. Was it Texas Western?
Yeah.
Texas Western. Then you jump to us. Jump to Georgetown. Then you give me Michigan. And then you give me
Bad 5, yeah, yes.
And then you give me UNLV. Okay.
Facts.
So
Facts.
those are the 4 teams. If I'm talking about the hip hop culture, the black culture embraced.
Yeah.
You got a 30 for 30 on 3 of those 4 teams. Why we don't have one on Georgetown, fam? Talk to me.
I never even thought about that, fam.
Why do we not have a 30 for 30, a Showtime, a HBO, something?
Because there was a big gap between Texas Western and you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had the other guys, the other teams.
Mm-hmm. I remember the quote when Big John won the national championship. And they said to him, what's it like being the first African-American to win a championship?
Yeah. He didn't really like that.
So I resent the question, because what you're suggesting is a brother before me wasn't qualified. So
right.
I reject that. So again, you fast forward, there's one book on Big John, and that's because again, Big John was the question, the answer, the period, the exclamation point. He was everything at Georgetown. He ran that program. So if you wanted access, had to come through him. So my little joint I got called Hoya Locker Room.
Wow. You just messed me up with that.
Yeah.
Wow. Because everybody else had a white coach at the helm.
So what I'm saying to you is the narrative, right? The point of view, what Big John was all about. If you don't have anyplace else. And again,
That's real.
I've been on my soapbox for over 20 years about this. Like, you know, reaching out to people that I know in the industry, knocking on doors, trying to, and, you know, no one has any answers. Everyone's interested in it. Everyone gets it.
But no one wants to, you know, challenge the industry and bring it to the forefront.
And I just think about all the people in the culture that are in that game. Spike Lee. Malcolm Lee went to Georgetown, Spike's cousin.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, again, Big John was that trailblazer. Big John was that polarizing figure. Like, that's, and again, if you really want to get into the story is even richer than you and I both can get into on this joint right here. What you know, it's almost like I think about what, and again, this is not necessarily a stretch, but to talk about Malcolm and what Malcolm went through. You know, having the people try to infiltrate and the you know, setting things up. And what do you think Big John went through? Because Big John was unrelenting. Big John wasn't taking any BS. Big John was running his show. So that Hoya paranoia thing was real, fam. He was about it.
He not only could deal with the people in the press, but he also could go to the hood and talk to a guy like Rachel Edmonds and say, stay away from my team.
Stay away from my team. Real talk. So, you know, if anybody's listening, and I've had this conversation with Dorian Graham, because Dorian Graham's in that world. And
yeah, he worked in Nick Cannon, right?
Did deal with Nick Cannon. I think he worked at HBO, and you know, we've had this conversation, and it's like, yo, dude, I don't get it. I don't get it. We can do some no disrespect to Bobby Knight. We do some shit on Bobby Knight, but I'm more inclined to look at some Georgetown shit than I am some Indiana shit. I mean, again, for our culture.
That's real.
So,
that's real.
You know, so I'm glad I spit this all the time. I spit this all the time. But again, you know, we got our community, and the fact that you hadn't thought about it before, you know, that's real. That's real. I appreciate you saying that. But yeah, let's get that Georgetown documentary. Let's get it.
Well, listen, I don't know if it helped, but you know, a really good friend of mine is a filmmaker, and he did the Trayvon Martin documentary.
Okay.
The one that Jay-Z was behind.
Mm-hmm.
His name Attica Torrance, and you know, I'm gonna talk to him, and maybe you guys could get together and put some things together, because he loves the game, and he's actually gonna be helping me produce the New York City Basketball Network once we get it together. So definitely.
Yes, sir. Well, hey, fam, man, I told myself, I said I'm gonna listen. I'm not gonna talk that much, but you're talking about two things that are really, really dear to me, and Pearl is for the reasons that I've stayed in New York City basketball, man, means the world to me, man. Like, really, fam. And I love the work you're doing, and I try to tap in when I can. But keep doing that good work, man. Keep doing that good work, man. You're doing good work. You're doing good work.
Thank you, good brother.
I salute you.
And I want to appreciate you, man, from the bottom of my heart, man. Watching you coming up, being a youngster in front of the TV, wanting to be that guy on the court, and who made that difference on the offense, especially on the defensive end. So I want to say thanks to you, man. And New York love you, brother. So do I, man.
When I'm back in the city, I'm gonna look you up. We're gonna break some bread, fam.
Let's do that, man. And listen, you have someone to nominate, so, you know, a guy like Fred Brown, New York City great, you know, hit up Pat, let him know we got some love for him here in New York City.
Okay, will do.
You know, you got some nominations, brother. And how do you like the picture? You like the picture? My God,
I love the picture. I love the picture. Big East tournament time. We might be able to pull something off, man.
Bet. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Give a shout out.
I look forward to it, brother.
I want to give one shout out to my youngin, Trey Dickerson. Just to show you.
Now, go ahead. Show the love. Show the love.
How strong the Georgetown brand is. Trey Dickerson played at Georgetown 2017-18, which was Patrick's first year. Trey Dickerson is from Queens. And when I started Hoya locker room, we got to keep shit young. We got to stay young. And I wanted to tap into somebody that played for Patrick. Because I played with him. What better way to do something than somebody who played for him? And I watched.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
And I watched.
That'd be awesome. Let's do that.
I watched Trey how he moved online and whatnot, and kind of like how you and I, man, we did this in what 24, 48 hours, man. Like we turned this thing around.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate. But Trey Dickerson is, again, my connection in New York is strong and real. So he helped me with Hoya locker room, and I'm gonna send you a couple episodes. I want you to check it out, fam. But I just wanted to give Trey a shout out. That's it, fam. That's it, yo.
No doubt.
Appreciate you.
My brother, I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You too.
And tell your family, salute, man. Love.
All right, all love, baby.
Appreciate you.
All right.
No doubt. Well, we're about to wrap it up, people. I'm glad for everybody who came through, had patience to sit through, the stumbling blocks in the beginning, but hey, we got through it. Salute to everybody who came through. Listen, you never know how someone's going to impact you when you're watching them on TV from afar. But when you get a chance to meet them, and they're even a better person when you meet them, man, that makes it all worth it. I want to salute Gene, Mr. Defense Smith, for coming through, sharing his love for our New York City legend, Dwayne Pearl Washington, and New York City basketball. Man, come a long way. Means a lot, Gene. Appreciate that, man. You inspired me to be a top defensive cat on every team that I played on. High school, prep school, and college. Always won top defensive honors. And that's because of you, brother. To all my basketball heads out there, thank you for tuning in. And you've been watching Basketball Heads, the official home for New York City basketball, baby. Peace.